Every year, KARE-11 honors 11 of the finest volunteers in our community. Each makes a difference in the lives of others. This morning, we salute 11 Who Care winner Eugene Sitt. The 69-year-old recently passed away after a 4-month battle with pancreatic cancer. KARE-11's Joe Fryer shows us why Sitt will be missed by so many.
This we know to be true, that freedom is not free. Freedom comes at a great cost and great sacrifice. We know this to be true as well, that we could never begin to repay the men and women who have given so much, so the rest of us may live free. But there is one man who is trying to give something back to our soldiers on behalf of many grateful Minnesota citizens.
You know, sometimes tears come out of my eyes because you cannot really, you just cannot quantify the hardships, the sacrifices, the stresses that they and their families have gone through on our behalf.
Eugene Sitt's desire to say thank you to Minnesota soldiers turned into the creation of Minnesotans Military Appreciation Fund. Launched 2 years ago, the mission of MMAF is to thank every Minnesotan who has served in a combat zone since 9/11 by giving those soldiers cash grants. Soldiers like Sergeant John Creasel, who lost both of his legs and 2 of his best friends to a roadside bomb in Iraq. Gene contributed the first $1 million to MMAF and has worked tirelessly to raise more than $6 million since.
Put together a group of business leaders, community leaders, former political leaders, to really show this is truly Minnesota at its best.
And the effort is truly appreciated.
To answer your question, Mr. Sitt, you have made a difference.
Eugene Sitt knows the enormous size of the debt we all owe, but he has found a way where we can at least begin to say thank you.
On this 7th anniversary of 9/11, 7 of Minnesota's military members will be honored for their service. These soldiers all joined the Army after the terrorist attacks in 2001. One of those being honored today is Sergeant Christian Poole. Good morning, Christian. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you.
We all were affected by 9/11, but you went one step further and joined the Army. What went through your mind and why did you want to do that?
I wanted to play a bigger part and to protect this nation and also be a part of the Minnesota National Guard, which is my home. So,
what do you think of this honor that you're going to be receiving today with the other soldiers?
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time?
What do you think of this honor that you're going to be receiving today with these other soldiers? What were you thinking when you were told you were going to be honored this way?
I was totally surprised. It feels really good. It's a great welcome home. I'm really proud of the Minnesota Military Appreciation Fund for what they do. It's a great feeling.
How does this Military Appreciation Fund make a difference, you think, for soldiers?
For one thing, it helps. It's a couple bucks is a great thing for the soldiers when they come home, and it's just a great welcome home in many ways, and I think it just makes them feel really good.
What are other ways we can, as a community, support people like you who are doing so much for our country?
I'm sorry, can you say it one more time?
Sure. What can the community do to support people like you who are doing so much for our country?
I guess just being their friend. Just treating them like people, just like anybody else, and just shake their hand, say thank you. I think that's the biggest thing. We love it.
Okay, we thank you, Sergeant, very much for joining us this morning, and thank you for your service as well.
Thank you.
At the state capitol today, several Purple Heart recipients from the Minnesota National Guard received grants from the Minnesota Military Appreciation Fund. The fund is a way to say thanks to soldiers who spent time in combat zones and to the families of soldiers who don't make it back home.
On the 7th anniversary of the September 11th attacks, a special way to say thank you to our military personnel. Organizers of Minnesotans Military Appreciation Fund awarded cash grants to 7 soldiers. The grants range from $500 to $8,000. A spokesman for the organization says it's a small gesture for such a big sacrifice.
I think it's support like this that helps my mom deal with having 3 sons in the Army, all of which have serve or are currently serving in a combat zone.
Since it launched in 2005, the Minnesotans Military Appreciation Fund has given away more than $4 million to Minnesota soldiers.
Here at home, the memorials span from Bloomington to Winona.
And one in Coon Rapids, it's going from sunrise to sunset. Here's KARE 11's John Croman.
In the 7 years since 9/11, bridges have become a platform to express opinions. On this anniversary, on this bridge in Coon Rapids, the message was gratitude.
I wanted to do it for all the soldiers that have sacrificed their lives and the ones that are still fighting for our country. I figured this is the least I could do to honor them.
Those soldiers include Stacy's husband, Sergeant William B.J. Beardsley, who died in action last year in Iraq.
He called me in the hospital to make sure I was doing okay before he left for the mission. Tell me he loved me, to tell the kids he said hi, and he would call me when he got back to post.
At the capital, Minnesota Iraq War veterans, 7 in all, became the latest to receive cash grants from the Minnesota Military Appreciation Fund.
This really makes coming home a lot easier. I'd also like to thank my family for being so strong during all the hard times.
The son of the late Gene Sit accepted an award from the National Guard recognizing the Chinese immigrant who created the grant program for soldiers and their survivors.
And I, being the constant realist, I said, you know, this will cost a lot of money. And he said, well, here's the first $1 million.
In downtown St. Paul, firefighters marked the occasion outside the Landmark Center. Nearby sat a pumper ladder truck used by a New Jersey crew that fateful day at the World Trade Center.
It is still very difficult to look back to that tragic chain of events without a deep sense of tremendous loss.
Today's dose of healing included a climb up to the clock tower where firefighters affixed a large yellow ribbon. Back on the bridge over Highway 10, the honking horns heartened a war widow.
It gives me goosebumps after I hear so many of them. It's like so many people really do care.
Almost on cue, the symbol of our nation soared above.
It's amazing.
Today's anniversary events also included a memorial service for Tom Burnett Jr. down in Bloomington. He was among those in Flight 93 who sacrificed their lives to thwart the hijackers and crash that plane in Pennsylvania. Back to you.
John Croman in St. Paul tonight. Thank you, John.
At a special ceremony at the state capitol rotunda in St. Paul, a show of appreciation for those fighting overseas since 9/11. 7 Purple Heart recipients were awarded cash grants from the Minnesotans Military Appreciation Fund. The group says it is a small way to thank the brave Minnesotans who have sacrificed to serve our country.
A grant that should be so much larger. This is a token grant, but it's something that's showing the people, and it's showing you how much we appreciate what you have done.
Since the fund was created back in 2005, more than $4 million has been donated to Minnesota's military families.
And today's Coffee with KARE brings you an event to show your support for U.S. service members.
It's the Troop Appreciation 1.5-mile walk, 5K run on Father's Day. Also, just a heads up, the day before, motorcycle riders can join in the fun with a 75-mile ride. Now, both events benefit the Minnesotans Military Appreciation Fund, which is a nonpartisan volunteer nonprofit that raises money to provide financial grants to Minnesota military members and their families. MMAF has raised more than $9 million and distributed more than 8,000 grants to Minnesota military personnel.
The 5K run and 1.5-mile walk are Sunday, June 21st, Father's Day at the Metrodome, corner of 4th Street South and Park Avenue. Check-in is at 9:30. The program starts at 10:30. The first 2,000 people to register will also get a free ticket to that afternoon's Twins-Astros game. You'll find more information at KARE11.com. Click on Take Care and Community, and that is where you will find Coffee with KARE.
As we send it to Jonathan Uhas, let me try to say this again. Minnesotans Military Appreciation Fund. I kind of stumbled all over that on the way in, and they do such great work. I have to go back and try to make sure I say that clearly.
Good group.
Local troops, veterans, and their families are being honored today. The Minnesota Patriot Guard is holding its 4th annual Patriot Ride. The 75-mile journey begins and ends at Fat Boys Bar and Grill in East Bethel. More than 1,000 motorcycle riders will participate in the trip, which begins at noon today. Proceeds benefit Minnesota's Military Appreciation Fund. That fund provides financial grants to Minnesota military and their families as a thank you for their service.
Organizers from the Minnesotans Military Appreciation Fund are planning another special event in honor of Father's Day tomorrow, and this one is going global. The group is holding its annual Troop Appreciation Walk and 5K Run. Fundraiser begins outside the Metrodome at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. What's even cooler, more than 200 soldiers in Basra, Iraq are doing a run of their own to say thanks to everyone here in Minnesota who's participating. And if you tune into the Fox 9 Morning News tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning, you'll see one of those soldiers talk to his wife and 2.5-year-old son on Father's Day live via satellite.
Looking forward to that. It is a We want to get moving to our next story here. Minnesotans coming together today to both honor dads and troops who are serving overseas. The Minnesotans Military Appreciation Fund is holding its annual Troop Appreciation Walk and 5K Run. The walk begins outside the Metrodome at 11 o'clock this morning. The event raises money for financial grants for the men and women who've served in combat since September 2001, along with their families. Many service members won't be able to spend Father's Day with their families this year, but one local family is getting a special treat right here on Fox 9 this morning. They're getting to talk to Dad live from Iraq right now. Nicole Lowvall joins us and her 2.5-year-old son, who's been very vocal all wonderful morning. Jackson, thanks for joining us this morning. We appreciate it. We want to say hello this morning live via satellite to John Lowvall, who is in Basra. Look, there he is. Hi, John.
There's Daddy.
Hi, John.
There's Daddy.
Hello, everybody.
I just want to give you and your wife a moment to catch up and say Happy Father's Day and say hello.
Happy Father's Day, John. Happy Father's Day, John. Oh, I can't hear him.
Thank you.
Can you wave to Daddy? Can you wave to Daddy? Can you blow kisses? Can you blow kisses?
Oh, too cute. There is a little bit of delay, so it'll take a second for him to hear us. But how often do you guys get to talk to each other?
We get to talk almost every day via email, and then we talk on the phone probably twice a week.
The toy. And Tom Halton to the rescue.
Thank you.
Thank you. So you get to communicate quite often, but you don't really get to see him the way we are seeing him now in person. That's pretty cool. What do you want to say to him? What on this Father's Day? Obviously, it's not the same as having him here and being able to touch him, but you know, it's a special day for you guys, isn't it?
It is, absolutely, and I guess I just want to say that we really miss him, and obviously Jackson misses him a lot, and we're looking forward to him coming home.
I bet. When is he supposed to come home?
After the first of the year, probably in February.
Okay, so a few more months to go. And how long has he been there?
He's been there since Valentine's Day, actually.
Did he leave on Valentine's Day?
Day?
Of course. Yeah. Happy Valentine's Day to you. Oh, goodness. What is the hardest part of, you have a 2.5-year-old son, of John not being here to help raise him and be with you?
I guess I would say just not having that daily support, especially in raising a 2.5-year-old son. Every day being a single mom and not having him here to support me and validate me and what I'm doing, and just having your best friend here to be a part of it.
Okay, it sounds like we're getting some bad audio from Iraq, where John is. So we did see him at the very beginning, but we might have lost him a little bit. But I know that he was going to tell us. And John, if you can hear me, you guys actually did a shadow walk in Iraq this morning. Tell us about that.
Well, this morning a bunch of people got together for doing the same run that they're doing in the Metro today. And we started off, we try to start our runs early here because it warms up quick. And we went for our 5K run, and it went really well. It wasn't too windy, there was no sand in the air, we had no complaints whatsoever. It was a great Father's Day run.
Great, and it meant so much to be a part of that because you're raising money for other officers. So what we're going to do now, John, thanks for talking with us. We're going to go back to the Symplosion here locally in Minneapolis because they're about to take that. Thank you, John, for joining us.
Thank you, John, for joining us.
Nicole, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Happy Father's Day.
On this Father's Day, many dads are serving in the military overseas. Today in Minneapolis, the 5th Annual Troop Appreciation Walk and 5K Run was held to say thank you to all Minnesota military personnel for their sacrifices. The walkers and runners raised money for military families, and the people who took part in the troop walk got to go to the Twins game at the Metrodome this afternoon for free.
This Father's Day is different than most. Many families are sending special wishes to dads who are overseas, and that can make it tough for some folks. But a special military event is trying to give some support. Dawn Stevens is here now with that story.
Hundreds of military families walked in today's Minnesotans Military Appreciation Fund Walk Run in Minneapolis. And all the way over in Iraq, soldiers did the exact same run. On Fox 9 this morning, we reunited a family involved with the event via satellite, making it a very special Father's Day.
Right behind you, sir.
This morning, thousands of miles away in Basra, Iraq, hundreds of soldiers hit the pavement for this shadow run while thinking of their loved ones back here.
Happy Father's Day, John.
Shortly after the run, in the Fox 9 studio, we reunite John Lovald with his wife Nicole and son Jackson.
Can you blow kisses?
John has been away from his family since Valentine's Day. The 5K run in Basra supports his comrades.
There was no sand in the air, no complaints whatsoever. It was a great Father's Day run.
Fathers and retired soldiers feel the same right here in Minneapolis. The American flag is proudly displayed, celebrating Minnesotans' Military Appreciation Fund, which gives grants to soldiers. Those with severe injuries can get up to $10,000. Christopher Gonzalez has a brain injury from a roadside bomb. The money has changed his world.
It's a real lifesaver.
He's supporting his wife and 3 kids who know they are blessed to celebrate life on this Father's Day.
It's just an honor to have him back. You know, a lot of them don't come back.
The tragedy some of these soldiers who walk have gone through has actually given them a new start with their families. Scott Adams was burned over nearly 50% of his body. Now retired, he's a different kind of father.
I'm blessed to be able to have my kids around me every day. I've missed out on so much, 6 deployments, 22 years in the Army.
Can you wave to Daddy?
Now Nicole just makes a wish. John's next long run will be into her arms next February.
Every day being a single mom and not having him here to support me and validate me in what I'm doing, and, just having your best friend here to be a part of it.
And families of those who are killed in action receive $5,000. MMAF has distributed more than $5 million in grants for military members. Back to you.
All right.
It is a Father's Day gift from a world away. A Minnesota family whose dad is serving in Afghanistan got the chance to say, "I love you" today. KARE 11's Jana Shortle has their story.
You look really clear. You look really good.
On Father's Day, most families don't sit in a television newsroom.
Can you see Maria and Alex?
But for the Fernandez family, this was the place to be. Cool. The only place they could see Dad.
Hey, buddy. How are you?
Hi, Dad. Good.
First Lieutenant John Fernandez is off serving in Iraq with the 34th Infantry Division. Today he got 2 presents. One, he ran a 5K in Iraq while his wife, Margaret, ran one back here. And 2, he got a phone call from his wife and kids.
Happy Father's Day.
Because the kids could see Dad and Dad couldn't see them, well, they had a keen observation for him.
Your teeth look whiter than on Skype.
Dad claimed it was the lighting on the base in Basra.
I wish I could see you.
Now, if he could see his kids, he would get to see something he has never seen before.
Here's Alex. Oh, and he's wearing a collared shirt, believe it or not. I got a collared shirt on him, no T-shirts.
Alex put on his best shirt for his papa. That said a lot more than he could.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's tough to be in front of the camera for anyone, but to be in front of the camera with your dad smiling back from a world away, well, that just makes the whole thing worth it.
I love you.
Thank you. I love you guys, too. It was very nice to hear everybody.
Happy Father's Day.
Jana Shortle, KARE 11 News.
First Lieutenant Fernandez, who is also a Minneapolis fireman, expects to be back home in Minnesota this winter.
Hundreds of military families spent Father's Day taking part in the Minnesotans Military Appreciation Fund Walk Run in Minneapolis. Organizers say the 5th annual event is a chance to show support for service members from Minnesota serving in Iraq.
It's a real lifesaver. A lot of us struggle first. It always gets worse before it gets better.
The Military Appreciation Fund has distributed more than $5 million in grants to members of the military.
KARE's Hero Central is all about making a difference in your community. Well, tonight, a salute on water to some American heroes. The Twin Cities River Rats water ski team put on a show tonight on the Mississippi River. The money raised goes to the Minnesota Military Appreciation Fund. And to find out more about Hero Central and just how it works, you can check out our website. It's KARE11.com and click on Take Care of Your Community. Well,
Well, a special fund continues to help returning Minnesota soldiers. This week, the Minnesotans Military Appreciation Fund handed out a total of $2,500 to 4 veterans. It also gave $5,000 each to the families of 4 soldiers killed in combat. In the past 4 years, the fund has distributed more than $5 million to 8,500 soldiers. If you'd like to learn how to get involved in the program, you can go to KSTP.com, keyword Thank Minnesota Troops.
Meanwhile, 4 more Minnesota military veterans are benefiting from a special fund set up to help soldiers returning from combat zones. Officials from the Minnesotans Military Appreciation Fund handed out awards totaling $2,500 to the veterans in the ceremony at the Capitol. The fund also distributed $5,000 each to the families of 4 soldiers killed in combat, 1 Army Ranger, and 3 Guard members.
And welcome back. For 4.5 years now, Minnesotans have been not only giving handshakes and hugs to service members who return from combat, they're also giving the gift of opportunity. And joining me now is Michael Gorman, founder of Minnesotans Military Appreciation Fund, and Staff Sergeant Scott Adams. Thank you both for being here today.
Thanks so much for having us.
Michael, tell us about what your program does and the help that it gives to service members.
Minnesotans Military Appreciation Fund was started in 2005 with a fundamental objective to show thanks and appreciation to the men and women from Minnesota who've been serving abroad. And the way we do that is we've raised dollars, purely private dollars. This isn't a government program. It's not from the military. This is from the citizens of Minnesota to say thank you. And we do that by writing checks to folks from the military who have returned from service. Those checks start at $500 for those who have just returned and fortunately don't have any injuries or any other complications based on their service. And they scale all the way up to $10,000 for those folks who've sustained really serious injuries. And Staff Sergeant Adams will discuss that in his remarks. So we're very fortunate that we've had a great response from Minnesotans of all stripes, from Rochester all the way up to the Iron Range, and we're excited about the fact that the program continues to be vibrant, vital, and continue to respond to the needs of our veterans.
And you had a very big milestone this past week. We went to this event that was held this past Wednesday with the governor. Tell me about this milestone and what it means for your program.
The milestone that we're celebrating this week is our 10,000th grant to a member of the Minnesota military. Very substantial milestone for all of us. We've now, at this point, raised a total of $10 million. We've made our 10,000th grant, and we've, through those grants, donated $6 million to the men and women who have served so admirably on our behalf. It was a great event this week. We were pleased to make that grant this week.
And one of those people that you have given a grant to, Staff Sergeant, tell me, how much did you receive, and what difference did that make for you and your family? You have a wife and 3 kids, right?
Yes, sir. Basically, I was at Fort Sam Houston, still there at the hospital doing outpatient treatment. A friend of mine told me about the grant. I was kind of humble about applying for it, you know. But we did because we needed the money to pay off some bills, because even though you're a wounded soldier, you're at a hospital, you're in a military installation, bills still keep coming. So we applied for the grant. I luckily received, or unluckily, however you would get it, $10,000 due to my injuries.
And what are your injuries? You've been to Iraq. You've done 6 deployments, right? Tell me about that.
My injuries, our vehicle hit 2 anti-tank mines with white phosphorus based in. I got 47% burn, 34 of it's 3rd-degree thickness. I have 8 compound back fractures, 5 bulging discs, tears in both shoulders, fraying tendons in both shoulders, nerve damage across shoulders and C5 my neck, nerve damage into my legs, and I've had 21 surgeries, past one being this Friday. I had my shoulder scoped.
Well, for 21 surgeries, you look pretty good, Staff Sergeant. Now, we want to say before we go here how Minnesotans can help. And we have some information. We've got the phone number, the website. Michael, talk me through this. How can people help if they see Staff Sergeant Adams and they want to donate?
Well, first thing, everybody in Minnesota, when you find somebody in the military, can say thank you. Show some appreciation. And at a very personal level, this is not all about money. It's really about showing appreciation and expressing that to the men and women who have served. We've got a website, thankmntroops.org, and there'll be multiple activities over the course of the year for those who sign up on our website. We'll keep you informed about walks and other activities to support our men and women and help us raise some more money. We think we need to raise another $3 million to fulfill our objective to make sure that every Minnesotan who serves is treated with this kind of respect upon their return.
Michael, thank you very much. Staff Sergeant Adams, I appreciate your service. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it.
Welcome back. Good Sunday morning, 8:39 right now. This weekend, of course, we are remembering our veterans and their sacrifices. And for some, of course, those sacrifices are just about unthinkable. But there is a way for you to help them. And joining us this morning to tell us how is co-founder of the Minnesotans Military Appreciation Fund, Denny Schulstad, and specialist Jacob Benson. Good to see both of you. Jacob, let's start with you. You have an amazing story, something that happened to you last summer, right? It was July?
Yep, July
You were in
16th.
Iraq.
Yep.
What happened?
We were a QRF, Quick Reaction Force unit that responded to anything that the base needs for any kind of incoming attack or anyone that needed help at the time. July 16th, what happened was that we got under attack, and a rocket strike came in about 4 to 5 feet from me and my team. That was
team of how many people?
4.
Okay.
So we ended up Specialist Daniel Drevnick and Specialist Carlos Wilcox and Specialist James Wordish ended up being killed in the attack, and I was the one who was the only survived member who was outside that night. So
what does Memorial Day mean for you?
It means a lot. It means about celebrating of the soldiers, the Marines, the Navy, and the Air Force, and remembering the people who have given everything they had, and remembering the people who have given their lives into the service and into combat, and appreciating that.
What is your plan for tomorrow, Memorial Day?
Plan for tomorrow morning day is I'll be with Drevnick's family, and Ken and Julie Drevnick, and Roberta and Chuck Freeze, and Shelby, and planning on going visiting Dan, and kind of just remembering my 3 boys.
You have a bond forever with their families.
Yes, I do.
Let's talk a little bit about this fund. You started it back in 2005?
About 5 years ago.
What is it?
It's called the Minnesotans Military Appreciation Fund, and it's a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization. We're all volunteers, and we have raised over $10 million from the people of Minnesota to say thank you to the young men and women who are serving our country.
There is nothing like this anywhere in the country?
We are the only statewide organization, and I've been in the Pentagon several times talking to them because they would like to start organizations like this in other states also.
Why did you start it?
Well, it was really the idea of Gene Sitt, and there were 3 of us who founded it, and he made the first $1 million contribution, which certainly got us off on the right foot. We've given grants to 10,000 young men and women who have served in a combat area since 9/11.
And Jacob getting one of these grants?
He gets a little bit larger one because he was injured.
And how does that money help?
It helps a lot. One thing is that you can go, if you have children like I do. I have a small daughter that I'm trying to get a college fund going for. I've put in all that money towards her future. And,
you're still in rehab, right?
Yep.
And lastly, how can folks help out?
Well, we have a website. It's thankmntroops.organization.org.
Okay.
And that lists all of the different events that are happening. A lot of different organizations are saying we want to contribute money. We want to have a golf tournament. We want to have a water ski show, and they give all of the profits to our organization.
A great cause. Happy Memorial Day to both of you guys.
Thanks
for coming in this morning. And for much more information on this fund, just head to our website at KSTP.com and click on the keywords Thank Our Troops.
Coffee with Care today brings you a motorcycle ride to benefit Minnesotans Military Appreciation Fund.
The 5th annual Patriot Ride is a 75-mile motorcycle ride. More than 2,500 riders are expected for this event, which begins and ends in Ham Lake. Proceeds go to the Minnesota's Military Appreciation Fund, which awards cash grants to say thank you to our service personnel who have served in combat zones since 2001. And check this out. Since its inception 5 years ago, MMAF has dispersed 10,000 grants totaling $6 million.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
That's amazing.
5th annual Patriot Ride is this Saturday, June 19th, beginning at Lions Park in Ham Lake, and registration runs from 9 a.m. to 11:30. The ride starts at noon, and if you don't want to ride, there's all sorts of things to do. Enjoy a Black Hawk helicopter flyover, stunt riding show. For more information, head to the link at KARE11.com, click on Community.
Thousands of motorcyclists honored all military service members today. An estimated 2,500 motorcycles took part of the 5th annual Patriot Ride that started and ended in Ham Lake. The 75-mile ride is a fundraiser for the Minnesotans Military Appreciation Fund and the Minnesota Patriot Guard.
A St. Bonifacius soldier wounded in Iraq returned home today from a special trip aimed at giving him some closure. Staff Sergeant Scott Adams may have physically healed from his injuries, but this trip was meant to help him heal mentally. Here's KARE 11's Jana Shortle.
After serving 6 tours with the Army in the Middle East, this last trip finally would come to a proper close today in Wayzata, if all goes well.
He's one of them guys you can't surprise very much, you know. He always knows what's going on before it even comes, so I really hope we can, hit him hard with this one.
Staff Sergeant Scott Adams is due home today after a 10-day trip to Iraq with the group Operation Proper Exit. That unit takes soldiers back to combat zones to the location they were injured to bring some kind of closure.
He never really finished the mission that he set out to do.
In 2007, Staff Sergeant Adams was hurt when an IED detonated under his vehicle in Iraq. He suffered a broken back and third-degree burns on more than 45% of his body. He returned to Iraq to put that memory to rest. He returned home today to begin something new. Staff Sergeant Adams was greeted by a Patriot Guard armed with our nation's colors, eager to give him thanks.
Welcome home, sir. Thank you for your service.
And when asked if he had a wish for Father's Day, he only hesitated for a second.
My wish? I already got my wish. I got my wish, honestly. I mean, I got to get welcomed back by all these lovely people, and my family's safe, everybody here's safe, you know. What more do I need?
Jana Shortle, KARE 11 News.
I really get a hug?
Well, Scott's family held a party for him today at the Wayzata American Legion. His son says he hopes his father goes forward with his new plan in life to go back to school for his college degree.